SSMS, or the SQL Server Management Studio, is the main administrative tool that you're going to use as an administrator, and it's also very popular with almost any aspect of SQL Server. To use this, we're going to have to install it a little bit differently in SQL Server 2016 than we have in all prior versions, and so let's step through that. SQL Server Management Studio, or SSMS, you'll normally hear this called out there in the real world, is no longer installed as part of the server installation. Now, there's an excellent reason for that. It is because Microsoft continues to fold all of their administrative development tools into their Visual Studio development environment, or their Visual Studio IDE, the integrated development environment. And so there's a lot of changes coming constantly. And if you get a SQL Server 2016 disk, or if you download it from Microsoft's site, and it has the Management Studio within that installation, and so you install SQL Server 2016 and you get the management tools off of that same media, a lot of times you're not going to have the latest. And so Microsoft has broken these apart. You now install SSMS separately, and you always get the latest edition of this, and this is a good thing. They've also made it incredibly efficient and easy to take care of this. When your SQL Server installation has completed, what you're going to see is when it finally says, okay, you successfully installed SQL Server, when you click OK, it's automatically going to take you back to the main installation page. And that is where you install SQL Server Management Studio. Usually what you do is you install SQL Server 2016. You go through the process, it gets to the end, you click OK, and it takes you right back to the same interface. You just move down one link and you install SSMS. So we've completed our installation of SQL Server, and we clicked OK. It carried us right back to where we started, which is the interface that you see right here. To install SQL Server, we chose that top link, but now to install SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, we're going to click on the second link here. When you click this one, it's kind of surprising. Your default web browser is going to open up, and you're basically taken to a link for msdn.microsoft.com, and you're actually going to click the link that you see I've highlighted here, Download SQL Server Management Studio. And you're going to download the absolute latest and greatest version of this, and it's kind of similar to installing SQL Server 2016. You're going to download that file. So when we click right here on this link, it's going to give us a file to download. We're going to download that executable setup file. Notice this is SSMS setup.enuexe. Then we're just going to locate that file, right click on it. I like to run as administrator to avoid any permissions errors that can come back and bite me later. And after a few seconds, the SSMS installation page is going to appear. Now notice how tough this is. You can either install or close. So we'll just click on install and continue from there. Now the installation is just going to begin. The interesting part about this is they give you two really cool pieces of feedback here. That top bar just paints across, I don't know how many hundred times during the installation. The bottom bar gives you an idea of the overall progress. But let me warn you, this is shockingly lengthy installation on some machines. I've seen it take over an hour on some machines. So don't plan on doing this right quick and then running out to lunch, or don't kick this off right before you're ready to go home in the evening. This will take a while. Just watch it. From time to time, you will think it's frozen. You'll think it's not doing anything. Don't worry about it. Just let it sit there, let it run, and eventually you're going to get a setup completed notification. What this has done is installed the SQL Server Management Studio environment. And so this gives us access to all of our databases. We can work with security. We'll be out there later in the course working with that. This is where we can set management policies, maintenance plans, that sort of thing. So this is the SQL Server Management Studio environment that you're going to install. And now that you have this, we're pretty much ready to go. So you've successfully installed SQL Server 2016 now. You've successfully installed SQL Server Management Studio. Once this is done, we're now ready to start to think in terms of attaching a sample database, verifying everything's good, and jumping into what we came here to do, which is learn about administering SQL Server 2016.